Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Today we shall take up Swami Chidananda's one message. Divine Bhava must be constant. Divinity is as near or as far from you as your Bhava towards it. If you have that Bhava, it is here and now. If you lose that Bhava, it is nowhere. The truth is that all things exist, move and have their being in the great reality. Countless billions and trillions of universes abide in Him, as grains of sand on the seashore or drops of water in the ocean. That is His magnitude. Yet He is nearer than the nearest. He is here and now God. And you abide in that being. There is no distance between you and the eternal reality. The distance is created by Vismriti, forgetfulness, by Anya Chintana, thinking of other things, by Viparita Jnana, wrong knowledge. The Kathopanishad says that the proximate, the closest, is not felt or realized because the mind has become outgoing. Therefore, withdraw the mind, take it within. But then if it is outgoing toward, what can it go? When all that existence is the great reality, how can it go elsewhere? It is here that the distance is created by Viparita Jnana. That which the outgoing mind beholds through the five senses is regarded to be not God. Thus this wrong knowledge deprives you of the experience of the ever-present reality. That being which is everywhere present is regarded as not being present due to wrong knowledge. due to non-perception of that which is right there in front of you. Seeing it, you fail to see. Hearing it, you fail to hear it. Touching it, you fail to feel it. Thus experiencing it every moment of your life, yet you regard what you see, what you hear, what you feel to be other than Brahman. Forgetfulness and wrong knowledge deprive you of the experience of the ever-present reality. Here in this creation, not even the slightest diversity exists. It is Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma. In spite of that, we think of the many, of diversity, and therefore Anya Chintana brings about a break in your abidance in the thought of Brahman. Thus constant abhyasa must be done. Again and again to evoke this Brahma Bhava. Every day we chant, Tvameva Mata Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. You are my mother, you are my father, you are my relative, you are my friend, you are my wealth, you are my wisdom. We then conclude that you are everything to me, you are my all in all. One way this last line is interpreted is, in addition to all these which I have identified specifically, you mean everything to me, you are my all in all. However, another way of interpreting the last line is, you are before me as everything. Therefore, thou art my food, my clothing, my shelter. Thou art everything. I behold day after day, moment after moment. If this vision and feeling is carefully invoked within our heart, then we behold everything from the right angle of vision, in the right Atma Bhava, the Brahma Bhava. It was this Bhava that inspired the practical secular idealism of Swami Vivekananda. See that everything you do is connected with God, nothing is unconnected, nothing that you do is other than worship. He spoke of God in the poor, in the sick, in the distressed, in the afflicted. He said, go serve them. In serving the many, you are but serving the one. The need is for constancy. When you hear these words, your heart and mind may be filled with this bhava. But when you return to your room, everything changes back to the worldly, prosaic vision based on hands or soul. That is because the mind cannot hold on to a lofty, sublime, high level of perception and feeling. It likes to come down. So there should be created in you a constancy in bhava, a constancy in your vision. As and when it goes away, you should be re-invoked, brought back. Then only will you gradually begin to ascend towards the ideal. Constantly re-invoke the ideal in your mind and heart, in your daily life. It is the only guarantee of your attaining supreme heights. Constancy in your idealism, constancy in your spiritual vision, in your attitude and approach, constancy in your own Atma Buddhi, Atma Bhava, your thought and feeling about yourself. There should be constancy in the spiritual factors that go to make up a divine way of living your life. There should be constancy in order to keep this bhava ever there. This is the way, this is divine life. Continuing all that, again we come back to square one. The smriti is there. No? All of us would like to keep that constancy. How to keep up that constancy? Yesterday when we were reading Gandhiji's book, he said, God exists because we exist. See? So there is no other proof necessary because we exist. So that which enables us to exist, that which enables us to know that we exist, is God. So we pray to Him, you have put us in a tricky situation where you make us to forget about you. Why don't you please make us aware of the reason? All other things okay. There should be a reason why you made us to forget. Because we are all thoroughly convinced that without you we don't exist. This Viparita Jnana or Vismriti, that is also caused by you only. So it's okay. Why don't you make us aware of this Viparita Jnana or Vismriti? We see the tree as a tree. We don't see the tree as a form of God. Because we are not very clear about God properly. That could be the reason. Concept of a tree is there very clear in our mind. So when we see a tree, this is the tree. So while forming the concept, if I don't bring that bhavana, I will only be seeing it as a tree. Why don't you make me feel? I know intellectually, yes. The creativity in the tree is you only. So this sort of dialogue, probably might happen. Problem is, as he says, we hear everything and then we go to room. What did he say? When you hear these words, your hearts and mind may be filled with this bhava. But when you return to your room, everything changes back to the worldly prosaic vision based on I am so and so. That is because the mind cannot hold on to a lofty, sublime, high level of perception and feel. This is very, very important. That is why in the last portion he keeps on hammering the word with the word constancy, constancy, constancy. And every day Mataji has highlighted, we chant it. Rumeva Mata, every day we chant it. It becomes a routine recital. Finally we say, Tvameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva. You are making us to chant it, but for now decades they are chanting. Not 1 or 2 years. I am unable to hold on. The satisfaction is at least at the time of chanting, my heart wells up with a sattvic bhava. Initially we can be satisfied with that, but now we cannot be satisfied. Every program that is included by Mataji here, especially the Aarti session, full of such small snippets that we can see. Last portion is cut out from Samanta Ramdas Manache Shloka. We repeat Kayena Vacha, Manasa Indriyeva, Vyatmana Va, Hridaya Sabhava, Karomi Yajyate Sakaram Parasmai Narayanayi Samsayam. Bhavana. You abide in that being. There is no distance between you and the eternal reality. There is no distance between you and the eternal reality. The distance is created by forgetfulness and by wrong knowledge. Kathopanishad says it is because the mind is outgoing. The moment we start dwelling upon these aspects, the mind, just goes out. But again, then how can we control it? Why do you bother? As Papa used to often mention. Where can it go? When we say Sameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva, when you are everything, to me you are everything, then where can it go? Technically, theoretically this is right. But we still feel there is an inner and outer. It is here that the distance is created by wrong knowledge. That which the outgoing mind beholds through five senses is regarded to be not God. That which the outgoing mind beholds through the five senses is regarded to be not God. This is called the Viparita. Mind as interpreted. That which the outgoing mind beholds through the five senses is regarded to be not God. Thus, this wrong knowledge deprives you of the experiences of the ever-present reality. That being which is everywhere present is regarded as not being present due to wrong knowledge, due to non-perception of that which is right there in front of you. Seeing it, you fail to see it. Hearing it, you fail to hear it. Touching it, you fail to feel it. Thus, experiencing it at every moment of your life, yet you regard what you see, what you hear, what you feel to be other than Brahma. Forgetfulness and wrong knowledge deprive you of the experience of the present, ever-present reality. So the tutoring should start within. Think about it. When the mind goes out through the five sense organs, normally we see it as another. That has been the practice, right from our childhood. When our brain or intellect started growing, we have been taught to see all other objects. Taught by our parents, by teachers, by texts, Everything as other than us. We were never told that there is a reality. Probably we cannot understand even if we are told. So that is the biggest hurdle we are facing now. So this has to be corrected at the mental level only. That's why we get divine bhava. We cannot start from the outer to the inner. We have to start from the inner to the outer. Because the moment you open your eyes, you see varieties, other than you. Some technique, some method by which we try to link ourselves with the creation. There is no distance between you and the eternal reality. The distance is created by forgetfulness, by thinking of other things. Kathopanishad says that the proximate, the closest is not felt or realized because the mind has become outgoing. Therefore, withdraw the mind, take it within. But then if it is outgoing, towards what? Towards what can it go? When all that exists is the great reality, how can it go elsewhere? It is here that the distance is created by wrong knowledge. That which the outgoing mind beholds through the five senses is regarded to be not God. So the need is for constancy. We all know that the bhava is important. That is the one which interprets everything as good or bad. The same incident can become good or bad based upon the interpretation of the mind. When you hear these words, your heart and mind may be filled with this bhava. But when you return to your room, everything changes back to the worldly. That is because the mind cannot hold on to a lofty, sublime, high level of perception and feel. It likes to come down. So there should be created in you a constancy in bhava, a constancy in your vision. As and when it goes away, it should be reinvoked, brought back. Then only will you gradually begin to ascend towards the ideal. So when it goes away, it should be reinvoked, brought back. Constantly reinvoke the ideal in your mind and heart in your daily life. It is the only guarantee of your attaining supreme heights. Constancy in your idealism, constancy in your spiritual vision, in your attitude, in your approach, constancy in your own Atma Buddhi, Atma Bhava, your thought and feeling about yourself. There should be constancy in all these spiritual factors. That go to make up a divine way of living your life. There should be constancy in order to keep this bhava ever there. This is the way, this is divine life. In another message, he says, the essence of the life spiritual, the essence of the sadhana that ultimately grants you sakshatkar, is to set up an inner spiritual contact and a link, a relationship with the eternal and the infinite. Having set up this inner spiritual link in a conscious, knowing manner, having wished for it, then diligently cultivate it and keep on developing it so that it grows and grows and begins to fill your entire consciousness, transforming your sense of personal identity connected with this world and its things and beings into a higher identity, a supermundane, divine identity, having its meaning and relevance in its connection with the transcendental cosmic reality. I am part of it, I am not other than it. Within me is shining its light. Within me, vibrantly alive, is that great spirit. This is what I am. That is my reality. That is the truth of my being. I am a divine principle, a God principle. Thus there comes about a transformation in the inwardness of your hidden subjective awareness. First you were telling me about constancy. Now there is a method. First we said to set up an inner spiritual contact and a link, a relationship with the eternal and infinite. The contemplation only in the having set up this inner spiritual link in a conscious knowing manner, having wished for it, then diligently cultivate it and keep on developing it so that it grows and grows and begins to fill your entire consciousness, transforming your sense of personal identity connected with the world and the things and beings into a higher identity, a supermundane divine identity, having its meaning and relevance in its connection with the transcendental cosmic reality. Example is, I am part of it. I am not other than it. Within me is shining its light. Within me, vibrantly alive, is that great spirit. That is what I am. That is my reality. That is the truth of my being. I am a divine principle, a God principle. Thus there comes about a transformation in the inwardness of your hidden, subjective awareness. When this transformation has taken place, by carrying on the unceasing cultivation and development of this new awareness and making it the most important part of your life, Godwardness becomes the inner content of all parts of your nature, thought, word and deed. Your entire being becomes God-oriented. It becomes a center of Godwardness. The great ones have declared that such a life is a real life. Such a life that's oriented towards God, rooted in God, moving towards God, filled with God, is the one sure unfailing means of attaining. They call it sadhana, abhyasa or yoga. They call it dedication, surrender, worship, service, devotion, adoration. In worship, in adoration, we offer things to God. We feel that by offering these things, the Supreme is pleased. There was a time when we did not want to offend the Supreme. We wanted to propitiate the Supreme by offering a lamb or a goat as a sacrifice so that he may not be wrathful or he may be pleased and grant us favors. But there has been a great deal of spiritual evolution in the human race, in human consciousness. The concept of propitiating or pleasing God still lingered, but more has been added on to it. To reflect Him is the real worship. To glorify Him, to stand witness to His perfection, is the real worship and adoration. The best offering that can be placed at the feet of the Supreme is oneself. I surrender myself to Thee. I myself constitute the offering with which I adore You. In which case, one then has to strive earnestly and sincerely to make oneself worthy of being offered to the Lord. That then becomes the discipline, the earnest endeavor, the continuous abhyasa to make oneself ever worthier, ever holier, ever more spiritual, ever more divine, that one may indeed become a most worthy offering to be placed at His feet as an adoration. Any offering we make, we do it with Shraddha. We don't throw the flowers. We don't just throw the Naivedya. We don't just do the Arati. There is adoration. And we offer, suppose something is not right, we replace it. So now here somebody says that we should, the best thing to offer is ourselves, and when we offer ourselves, it should also become pure. We have to offer Him as He has given us. Later on, unknowingly, unwittingly, we have gathered to ourselves the me and mine. He says you should make it pure. The great ones have declared that such a life is a real life. Such a life that's oriented towards God, rooted in God, moving towards God, filled with God is the one sure, unfailing means of attaining. They call it sadhana, abhyasa or yoga. They call it dedication, surrender, worship, service, devotion, adoration. In worship, in adoration, we offer things to God. We feel that by offering these things, the Supreme is pleased. To reflect Him is the real worship. To glorify Him, to stand witness to His perfection, is the real worship and adoration. To reflect Him is the real worship. To glorify Him, to stand witness to His perfection is the real worship. The best offering that can be placed at the feet of the Supreme is oneself. I surrender myself to Thee. I myself constitute the offering with which I adore You. In which case one then has to strive earnestly, sincerely to make oneself worthy of being offered to the Lord. That then becomes the discipline, the earnest endeavor, the continuous abhyasa to make oneself ever worthier, ever holier, ever more spiritual, ever more divine, that one may indeed become a most worthy offering to be placed at His feet as an adoration. Therefore, the greatest thing with which you can adore God is yourself, your life. Thus, the holier you become, the holier your life becomes, the more worthy it becomes to be offered to the Lord. The more spiritual and divine that you make yourself, filling yourself with light in all parts of your being, the worthier becomes the offering you place before Him, and more glorious becomes your adoration of the divine. This side. What great certainty! Not something extraneous to you, not something other than you, but you yourself. By offering yourself is the Lord adored. Therefore, you begin to see a new dimension of sadhana. Not engaging in doing some process, but working upon yourself. Working upon yourself to make yourself perfect, ever holier, ever truthful, ever more loving, more selfless, more devoid of the I, ever more devoid of all those things that are likely to put a distance between you and the Supreme becomes your abhyasa. Your sadhana turns inward. All the time, all the waking hours of the day, this inner subjective process can go on. So that day by day, moment by moment, you try to work upon yourself, make yourself more and more worthy. This is another way of looking at spiritual life and understanding sadhana. It is a dimension that is not from inward to outward, but from outward to inward. Ever moving to a very depth and the center of your being, where you make yourself perfect and worthy factor to be offered to the Supreme. And this becomes possible only if there is an awakened awareness within. May God grant you that awakened awareness. May you know that the great task is to pay attention to the spiritualizing, divinizing of your entire being so that you shine as a worthy motive offering at the altar of the cosmic spirit. Such a worship can be ceaseless. It is upon a different dimension altogether. Such a worship constantly keeps us in an awareness of the presence of God, an awareness of God. No part of our life is left out of it. No moment is without this adoration worship. By the totality of your being, you seek to adore the source, the origin, the support, the fulfillment of your being. So the first message was about constancy. The second message was to ensure constancy. We try to offer ourselves to Him. In our case, all of us are fully convinced that but for that power, we don't exist. So now we are praying to Him. You make us somehow aware that we can offer ourselves to You. For that we have to feel childlike, we have to feel that nothing is there which is deplorable, which is not in line with. So that means a value-based life, where the quality, care and concern for others dominate in our life, where the me and mine is less and less, where the other day we discussed about 61, we try to enhance our love circle, not only on human beings, but on all that we come across. Somebody goes out to invite people for his housewarming. It has been his cherished desire to have a small but attractive, spacious house, and with so much struggle he has completed it, and he wanted to invite his known people, friends, relations, and then he took his car and was going out to invite. Suddenly he saw a family staying in racks without any proper shelter. Only one tarpaulin was there, tied to 3-4 poles, and some bags, sacks, they are stitched to make it as a wall. And suddenly this man stopped, looked at it, immediately gathered the details of the person staying there, went home, told his wife, what is the use of celebrating this? So whatever money that has been set apart for this, with that money, and we will mobilize some more, somehow we will try to put up a house for them. He was talking about awakening, how does the awakening come? This becomes possible only if there is an awakened awareness in him. He is stretching himself to another. One day, one teacher came the other day, last week or 10 days back. I think we have shared, at least for the sake of new people. The girl stood first, something like that, so the award has to be given. They wanted to make it as a surprise or something like that, so they went. When they saw, exactly like this, they had no shelter. Immediately they thought, what is the use of giving award, which has no value, excepting the sentimental or emotional value. And a photograph, and it will come in the paper, there. Immediately they formed a committee and then started moving in the direction, and last week they came and told us here. It will be handed over on a particular day. Stretching. So the me and mine is getting reduced, Stretching ourselves to a wider circle. These are all happening in and around us, not very far. Only one person has to take the lead, then this awakening comes. Not that others are bad. To them it has not been, it has not struck to them. But when somebody points out, immediately the goodness comes out of them. And they all try to join and bring out. Many such incidents. That means the quality, care and concern for others is slowly becoming wider and wider. Then only now we understand we can offer ourselves to Him. Actually, we don't have to offer at all. It is already offered then. So whenever we open our eyes and are involved in activities, if some time, some portion of our such activity, such involvement is for the betterment of others, it might help. Of course, if we treat it as a social service, it will not help much. But if we try, God has given us a wonderful opportunity for us to do that, then we are really making use of it. God dimension is important. Just now we saw divine Baba is important. He provides us with various opportunities. The field is created by Him, not by us. But unless and until we do that with the Bhava, our spiritual discipline becomes one-sided. The me and mind remaining intact. On a lighter sense, here somebody was telling whether it is true or not, we don't know. When a person religiously does puja before he goes to the office, but while doing the agarbatti, for example, immediately after that he will put out, so that tomorrow he can eat it. The me and my is very much there. Though outwardly we are involved in puja and so many other things. That means we are not aware that we are doing this puja or Ramnam or bhajan or satsang to reduce the dominance of me and mind. And then only we will be able to move towards Him. Our feel is nearness, feel is presence. Until such time, whatever we may be doing is, others may be appreciating it. Sometime during the late 70s, a group of people from Wayanad went and approached a Satsang Chalak. What is he? Oh, and told him that we have started a medical mission, but we don't get a doctor. We have been trying to get to go to the medical college. As soon as somebody comes out of MBBS 5-year course and house urgency, we plead and we request him to somehow come and spend some time with us until he gets a permanent, because we cannot offer salary also. So we cannot give you salary, at the same time we want a doctor. So he heard, and he called one boy who had just finished his MBBS in house urgency. He hailed from a middle class family. We don't know how much of sacrifice the parents have done to put him in medical college. We visited that house in Nagpur. Very small, very medium, middle income group. Immediately this person said yes. So he was told he will not get any salary. He has to go to a place where the language is not known to him. He has to cook and eat, and he has to go to the tribe. He said okay. He came there. This year, on the Republic Day, he was given Padma Bhushan, Dr. Sakdev. We know the journey. He will not mention a word about anything, spirituality. But full of dedication. He said, you call it dedication, surrender, worship, service, adoration, devotion. We had occasion to meet him early 80s, because Jain with whom we were working, every month we take 1,000 rupees and go and hand over. Even to reach his place is difficult. We have to keep the motorbike on the main road, walk about nearly 1 to 1.5 kilometers in knee-deep, what do you call this, clay soil. Very difficult to walk. And this man will be there in the one building they had given. Somebody was kind enough from old school. One old school in the corner, he will be sitting there alone. Mind you, he has no idea about Malayalam language. And the tribes will come there morning, so he gets up and goes, examines them. Some volunteers keep on collecting samples from doctors, different doctors. They send it to him. With that sample supply, he gives them. The association of people, they supply some rice, vegetables, everything to him. And with a few utensils, he prepares kanji and eats, or prepares chapati and eats that. Such a dedication, you can never imagine. But for a boy in Nagpur, absolutely unknown to the Kerala condition, comes there, stays alone and takes it up. 40 years of his dedication. 40 years. Not 1 hour. He has never gone in search of any award. Actually, every time when we organize something, 25 years or something like that, he will say nothing. Whatever you feel like, you go to the hospital. And the hospital has now become very big. All because of the control. To awaken. Somebody was needed to tell him this. But the goodness, the details just open, that's all. Wherever the me and mine, so it points out again and again and again. Wherever the me and mine, suppose you start thinking about your career, your family, your status, your position, your security, this cannot happen. It cannot happen for everybody. But God makes us to observe these things and take some lesson, May not be like Him, but something of Him, That is spiritual life. All my spiritual discipline should enable me to go nearer to this, to refine me, to make me in terms of me to be, not me to me. They call it sadhana, they call it abhyas, they call it yoga, they call it dedication. The great ones have declared such a life is a real life. Such a life that's oriented towards God, rooted in God, moving towards God, filled with God is the one sure, unfailing means of attaining Him. So there now we understand, He has offered Himself to the Lord. Without telling, without knowing. No precondition, Absolutely selfless. Free from anxiety about His future. Finally, the friends organized and told him, you must get married. Then they informed the parents. And they said, okay. He also said, okay. But look at the wife's side, She is going to a doctor who has no salary, nothing, there is no security at all in our language. Readily agreed. We all went to attend the marriage in Nagpur, sometime during mid-80s. Because this is something unheard of. And immediately after that, the committee took a house for 500 rupees rent and then started sending provisions. What can be done? They have to eat, And this man had never grumbling complaints. We used to meet him every 15 days, 20 days. He never goes for any mobilization of funds. He teaches what is dedication. Whole soul dedication. Least of me and mine. People will be wondering whether he is there. He is in Wayanad now. This year he was awarded with his Padma Shri award. When he looked at the paper, he saw that. So we must have met him when he was hardly 23 or 24. Or less than that. Immediately after SLC, we read it to another 16, 18 plus 5, 23, 24 years. Just imagine a youngster having got a MBBS, degree. Leaving away, and see the parents, attitude of the parents. Joyfully they are ready to do. So God is parading before us. This is not all talk. This is not an utopian dream. I have also motivated so many such creations who have practically translated these ideas in their very life, so that we people will be able to understand what is dedication, what is service, what is surrender, what is selflessness, what is freedom from anxiety about the future. Very nutshell, he has offered himself. So two messages today. So constancy, constancy, and then offering ourselves to him completely. All my spiritual disciplines should zero to this. That is the clarion call God is giving us. Whether I live for myself alone or for the sake of the creation. Be one with it. Gandhiji said yesterday, he is not beyond his creation. So to love his creation is to love him. To serve his creation is to serve him. If this is lost sight of, whatever abhyasa we may be doing outside, it may not have the desired result. So let us all try to assimilate as much as we can and then translate it in our life. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.